As we've been mentioning, since we met for the first time for this study, I would like to highlight this is a study, not a lecture. So please feel free to make questions. If you don't want to make questions as we go along, we will leave 15 minutes in the end, only for questions, only for our conversations, if you like. It is important that we do not keep our questions for ourselves, because if you do have a question, it means that it's important to us, but could also be important to everyone else in this room. We know that sometimes some people are shy, some people don't feel comfortable to make questions or things like that. So if you do have a question, please feel free to do it, okay? We are continuing with chapter 1, right? And this part highlighted where the place we stopped last time. But just to remind you all that this item in particular is Kardec is explaining and questioning about the existence of the soul. So I will not repeat myself, but as we move on, if you do have any question, please feel free to ask. It is true that we can understand low places to mean the depth of the earth, but what are such depths nowadays after they have been excavated by geology? There is something very common. I think I mentioned briefly last week that people used to say heavens and hell are inside ourselves. And a lot of people take that literally to the word without analyze the sense of it, right? So this place people in general call heaven and hell is not inside ourselves. It's not possible, right? If we think about geographic area, how would it be possible to have my country inside myself? It's not possible, right? This is just a scenario that people use to explain the meaning of it. But our vibration, yes, our choices, what we are, will resonate with those specific areas that in the past we used to call hell and heavens. And as we move along, we will understand there's no such a thing, right? So my internet is telling me that it's a bit unstable. So if I dropped, I beg your pardon already. Moreover, what should we understand by those concentric spheres? Because we have learned that our planet is not the center of the universe, and that our own sun is only one among millions of other suns that shine in the infinite, each one being the center of its own planetary vortex. Let's move back to the 1800s, where this book was written. They had no idea about the level of information we have today. Science has proven millions of different planets, different stars that we call suns. And at that particular moment in time, they would not be able to even think about that. There was no means in science on Earth to visualize that. And today, imagine how that has been multiplied 1,000 times. What would Kardec tell us today? What would Kardec would be able to explain to us today? What I'm saying here is that Spiritism is a live philosophy and will evolve as we go along. So what we are studying here today is a brilliant basis to everything we do in the Spiritism. But more information will come. What has been...
Can I just say something?
Sure, sure. Jump
just to call the attention that this book hasn't been updated, because sometimes it gives us the impression that it's so updated in terms of comments and information. So this I think it's important to mention that it hasn't changed since Kardec wrote it, in the sense that it hasn't been updated and new information has been added in the book. So it is as Kardec wrote at his time.
Yeah, very good point, Munir, and very, very good point, because things we may go through today or the next sessions is like we are living today, and amazing. Charles?
Yes, I would just like to add, at that time, of course, there were still the strongest religious influence that compared with what we have today. And Kardec was insisting, showing how the progress of science is showing how childish some of these conceptions have been. And that was really at that time a big obstacle to the belief of the spirits. Are there spirits? Right? It's the title of this section. So it's also interesting to remind this, because he seems to insist a little bit stronger on these arguments. But it is also something which is, of course, still helpful today, but which was more helpful even at that time. Maybe if he would brought it today, he would not insist so strongly, because all this childish stuff, we got some relief from them in the meantime.
That's very true. And we can compare our kids nowadays and people with our age. They have today a tremendous amount of information that we never thought we would have one day. And we are learning. We are learning with the old information. We are learning with the new information, right? That's pretty good. What has become of the importance of Earth now that it has been lost in the immensity of space? One thing that just came to my mind is that we're talking about souls, about spirits. Do they exist? Oh, science never proved. Science never proved a lot of things that we really believe. So I think that I would be humbly asking you all to give a step back and give the opportunity to listen to what the spirits will say, to make up your mind through this study, because there are a lot of things we could not say science has proved. Nevertheless, we are very keen to accept the existence or the presence in our life. If we move back like 500 years ago, we would not be able to prove that oxygen would exist. Nevertheless, we all at the time used to breathe, and thanks to the oxygen, we are here today. So today we can prove, we can measure, we can see the chemical information about this part of the oxygen, the air, blah, blah, blah. But at the time, we could not. And we gave it for granted. So there are a lot of examples, if you want to keep our mind open, we can use to compare things we're going to be listening and studying here. And by that, what unjustifiable privilege would this unperceivable grain of sand, distinguishable by neither its size nor its location, nor any particular role in the cosmos, be the only one inhabited by human beings? Recently, we know that James Webb satellite has been launched by NASA. Why we humans are trying so much to discover what is on the space? Because deep down, we know there is something else. Now, more and more, we see scientists not saying that the life exists, but considering there is a real possibility that life exists elsewhere. And when we're going back to the Spiritism, wouldn't be possible to have this immense several universes, because today we call different universes already, and only us, little human beings, being able to express ourselves and consider ourselves intelligent beings. I lost where, okay, here. Reason itself refuses to accept such wastefulness of the infinite, and everything tells us that other worlds must also be inhabited. I now came to my mind what Charlie said. Imagine the reactions against Kardec at his time when he started to think about that. If today we still be called crazy, because now a lot of materialist people, a lot of people do not believe at all, everything here exists for all eyes. Imagine at his time. If they are inhabited, they too furnish their own contingents to the world of souls. Once again, however, what will have become of souls now that astronomy and geology have destroyed their assigned dwelling places, and especially after the rational theory of plurality of inhabited worlds has multiplied them has multiplied them infinitely. I think with the vision that we have today, it's easier to understand this sentence, because we have so much information within the Spiritism about other worlds, about plurality of lives and worlds, that we are better prepared to understand and to accept what he just said. But if we on Earth are just one example, and we know there are millions of other planets already, imagine the potential of at least one part of those worlds being close to what we are. So there's a lot of potential to consider the soul, its movement, its continuity. Since there is no agreement between the doctrine concerning where souls are located and the scientific data, we must accept a more logical doctrine, one that does not ascribe them to any particular circumscribed locale, but which locates them through universal space. They form an invisible world, herein we live, and which incessantly envelopes and surrounds us. So this is coming to explain with very nice words what we said initially. There is no heaven and hell. We are surrounded by the spiritual world. We can go up and down, left and right. And what will drive the direction we will follow is what we are today, what we do and what we choose today. Is there anything impossible in this? Anything repugnant to reason? Then I ask yourselves, do you think anything we read so far is anything that you don't feel comfortable with? You do not agree? Would you like to ask and discuss any of those items? Anyone? Well, due to the silence, I think you all agree with what we had so far, right? But if you don't, please raise your hand, open your mic, and let's chat. Absolutely nothing. Rather, everything tells us that it can be no other way. But what becomes of future punishment and reward if you move the specified places where they occur? Notice that the notion of punishment and reward usually results in disbelief because it is present under conditions that can no longer be accepted. I have one particular interpretation of this. It is very common for human beings, that concept, punishment and reward. If you go to the religion side, if you're punished, you're going to hell. If you reward, you're going to heaven. But does God punish anyone? Who punish ourselves? I think we punish ourselves. Not in the exactly sense of the word, but through our choices, through what we are. The consequences are inevitable. So then when that happened, we felt like someone is punishing us, but it's not. We decide to have that experience. Everything in life is a learning process. And if we are going through this today, it's because somewhere along the line, we choose that. So then I think it's easier now to understand, at least in our time and age, that there is no such a thing as a God that punishes someone or rewards someone, because we understand we are the willpower behind everything that happens in our existence. Saying that, we cannot blame anyone for anything that happens to us, other than blame ourselves. Instead, we should state that souls derive their own happiness or misfortune from within themselves, that their fate depends on their moral condition, that the gathering together of good and attuned souls is a source of bliss, and that according to their degree of purity, they perceive and foresee things that are inaccessible to less evolved souls. I think, to me, he mentioned something very important. Moral condition. Hopefully, during this study, we will realize that even our mediumship is driven by our moral condition. How we decide to use, how we allow the spirits to share the experience with us, and how can we, to a certain extent, ensure that we have good spirits around us. It's very fair to say that every medium would like to have 100 mentors, benefactors around us. But it does not happen like that. It can happen, depend on you. But quite often, we do not allow that to happen. So Kardec in this book will explain the several differences of spirits, how to recognize them, and how to work with them, okay? If anyone want to jump in, please feel free to do so. That the gathering together of good and attuned souls is a source of, then everyone will understand the matter without much difficulty. Additionally, he stated that souls only reach the highest degree through the efforts they put forth to improve themselves and after having endured the necessary trials required for their purification. I am not sure if I said that here already, but mediumship is a hard work. Mediumship with Jesus is a very hard work. Why it is a hard work? Because we have to improve ourselves. We won't be saint, that's not the deal, but we have to realize that we need to improve ourselves. As we improve ourselves through our actions, through our thoughts, through our beliefs, by the amount of charity we perform. And when I say charity, I'm not talking about material charity. The most important one is the moral charity. Then we'll purify ourselves. How many existences are required to be purified? Many. We are very far from being called poor spirits. But we need to have in ourselves the will and realize that there's only one way to go, move forward. We have the right to stay where we are, and we have the right to move backwards. But it is strongly recommended by the spirits that we move forward, okay? Moreover, he states that angels are human souls who have reached the highest degrees, that all souls will reach that degree if they so will, that the angels are God's messenger, charged with overseeing the execution of the divine plan all over the universe, that they are joyous, are fulfilling such a glorious mission. And you will have given the blissful state a purpose that is more attractive than the perpetual uselessness of eternal contemplation. Over the years, I heard a lot people saying that, well, when I passed away, I'll be waiting. Oh, sorry, there's a hand. Hands first, you go.
Thanks, Guillermo. Good evening, everyone. So nice to meet you. And I would just like to come back to the last sentence, if you don't mind, where you said, where you talked about, where is it? Sorry, the efforts they put forth to improve themselves, and after having endured the necessary trials required for their purification. If I don't know everyone's background, so I might speak about things that you already know. And if I would just like to share my experience for people who might not know everything, who just jump in mediumship and spiritism. So it happened. 10 years ago, I had like problem with mediumships and so on, and I started to study about spiritism, and I was like, what should I do? And then I started to think, okay, so there are good medium, but not with good intention. Oh, good medium sometimes don't have sorry, in French. Sorry, I'm French. I just need to think about what I'm going to say. What do I want to say is that 10 years ago, I made a choice about, I don't want to be a medium if my heart is not good, because I don't want to, I want to use it for others, to help others. That's what I wanted to do 10 years ago. And so I strongly was thinking, like, I'm not going to do any mediumship or to use or to do anything if I don't improve myself, and if I don't do some kind of reform in a reforma íntima in Portuguese, disculpa. And every day, every weeks, every years, I try to improve. I put myself goals to move forward. And I was thinking, how can I help others? How can I help someone who is starving in the street? How can I help someone who is asking for money? And the fact is, now 10 years, 10 years later, the mediumship is still there. I think, I don't know, I'm still as sensitive as before, or sensible, I'm not sure. And things are like that. But what I realized from 10 years ago is that actually, yes, I'm not scared anymore to help people in the street. I'm not scared anymore to to take a hand. And yes, and I don't know what will occur with my mediumship. Well, let's see, que será. But if I recommend to people who are listening this that to improve ourselves, it might be the best way to keep on. Thank you, Guillermo. I'm sorry, everyone.
No, that's all right. I love it. I love it. And you gave me food for thought. So let me start saying one thing that's very important. I'm not perfect. No one in this room is perfect. And by the way, in this existence, none of us will be perfect. I heard over the years many mediums describing to me exactly what you just did. I need to be a better person, and then I will start to think about my mediumship. My advice to them was start now. Your mediumship will help you to improve yourself as well. Because every time we go to a mediumship meeting, we are learning. We are not only helping, we are learning too. There's a both way thing in a meeting. There's a both way every time you use your mediumship to help anyone. Deciding not to use your mediumship, it doesn't mean that your mediumship will go away. And sometimes, when the times come, you can try anything you want, but your mediumship will drive you to ask for help and then to engage into a serious mediumship development. So what I would say, don't lose your time. Don't waste the opportunity you have. And I think someone said to me recently, there are mediums and mediums. Yes, there are mediums and mediums. The mediumship is the same. The mechanism is the same. How you decide to use your mediumship is the key factor. Study is a must. I saw over the years many mediums, and there's no other words to say than lazy not to study. So they remain where they want to be. But a medium, a serious medium, that wants to develop his abilities and be prepared to help people and himself or herself, needs to study. And I think we all grown-ups here, and we can easily identify who is a serious person or not. This entity is good or not. Are they teaching me to do something good or not? We all have that condition. So if you want to develop our mediumship, get closer to one institution that gives you what you need, the assurance to become a medium with Jesus, as we call, and move on. Don't waste your time, because mediumship is organic, and this is not going anywhere. All right, and I see a hand. Oh, Liz, your hand's up. Oh, yeah.
Thank you. I just want to complement what you said, Guilherme, to be honest. Just say that, yes, throughout my life, I always had mediumship surrounding me with my parents. And then lately, I was a bit fearful of these cultural factors. You can name a few reasons for that. But then also, by allowing it to flourish and allowing it to be part of my life, it taught me a lot about myself, and it taught me a lot about things that I have to correct in myself. And it is that thing, isn't it? Some people will learn things in life by other people's experiences. So then when we are able to put in practice mediumship, as you said, with Jesus and following his teachings to help people, giving freely what you were given freely, you really kind of, you have a new transcendent meaning of that, that phrase of you can learn things in life by seeing other people's experiences. So that is, for me, that is something that is so eye-opening, and you have also the emotions that comes with that, that makes you feel everything deeper. And as you said, no one is perfect. I'm completely very, very far away from anything anywhere near the yellow zone. I'm still very red. And I love light because I'm tired of the darkness. So it is like this in my life now. I want to get away from darkness. And this practice has been just helping me to understand what I have to do better. And like every day, you can reflect upon your life and things and study in that way. For me, it doesn't need to be just on mediumship, but the basic, if you don't have time to read everything, the basic is go back to the basics, which is the moral teachings. And that is going to give you a huge light in what is right and what's not right to do. And every day reflecting upon that. And, you know, you have tons and tons of books now translated, you know, Spiritist books. Emmanuel's literature is just amazing for you to follow that. And he guides you to really reflect in what is important in life. So then, you know, every day I read a little bit and I do my reflections, and then hope and things in the day pop up and you go back to what you read. And, you know, that meditation process, this type of meditation, for me is so important. And yeah, thank you so much.
Very good. Munir.
Yes, no, I just want to take this opportunity to extend what Yasmin and this commented. I think it's very important. But don't forget, here they are talking about souls in general. Mediumship is a special kind of invitation. I see it's an invitation for us to improve us, perhaps work even harder in our improvement. But everything in our lives should be seen that way, be relationship within our family, with friends, jobs, whatever. We should always try to improve, to do this inner reform and deal with the situations in the best way possible. And that's why we are here. If we want to, one day to be, as described here, one of these God's messengers and work in helping or seconding God in his work, we need to improve ourselves every day. And in this case, we're talking about mediumship. So mediumship is a special invitation. Not the mediums are special, and that only mediums will have the opportunity to reform themselves. But it is, in my view, the greatest opportunity that people have, the greatest invitation, a very clear, blunt invitation that we should improve ourselves daily and make the effort. As the spirits, as the text here has said, improve ourselves after having endured the necessary trials required, and also our moral reform. And it's not by chance that one of the books that Kardec gave to us is the Gospel According to Spiritism, which is the best moral and safest moral guide that we have to conduct our inner moral reform. It is the Gospel. Not that we can do it through other books that talk about the same thing, but Jesus exemplified it in the highest way possible.
I could not have better words, because he is the moral compass, right?
Yes, indeed.
Constanza, you raised your hand. You want to say anything?
Hello.
Hiya.
Oh, yeah. No, I want to maybe compliment that the lady from France who was speaking before Liz. Because myself, since I was young, I had a lot of experience, like spiritual experience that I couldn't understand. And I went to different church or religion to try to understand what's happened with me. And the day I found out what's happened with me, the first thing I done was to run away. And maybe because I grew up in gospel church, and then I start to interpret that it wasn't something good, maybe. And I start to run away and avoid, and I start to receive like information from different places. Even someone in street start talk to me that that I have to do something. I start talk, and then but I always say no, I'm not prepared, or I'm not okay. No, maybe next. I don't have life for that and this. And I think one day was the day I didn't have a way to run away. So everything started work differently. I start to be ill, and I start to be that made me stay home. And when I start to be home is when I start really studying about spiritism. So, and that changed me a lot. I changed my life, changed the way I do my stuff, the way I think, the way I understand a few things happen in my life and things around me. So I think when you have when you are medium, it's something that you can't run because it's inside you. So even if you don't want, I don't know, myself, I never didn't want to learn about spiritism, but I was always see things, listen things, and that make me, I thought I was crazy. And sometimes I start asking myself if I'm crazy, or if I'm real seeing things, or if I'm listening things. And that's why I'm saying that we don't have a way to run away. So it's better when we learn, because that help us to understand and make, I think that makes my life in the right way, because now I'm feel different and then see stuff different now, and I understood a lot of things that I had to change. I have to change my life. I have to change myself first. Yeah, I think it's more like that. So
Very
thank
good. Very good. Charles?
Yes, Guilherme, if you want to answer to Constantia's question, feel
Yeah,
free.
okay.
I just wanted to stress with regard to what Yasmin said. As long as she has already the awareness that she has to improve, and also the maturity for it, I fully support what you advised her. Why not to start now? Why wait? And what Constantia just said is also illustrating that sometimes if they are knocking on the door, hey, your mission, don't wait too much, in a certain way. And this can lead to some difficulties, to some perturbations.
That's very true. Before I give the word to Osodi, I want to say one thing. Mediums and indoctrinators, they are prepared in the spiritual world before they reincarnated. Having said that, we all asked to be mediums or indoctrinators. Also, having said that, I would like to stress a lot, if I can, do not miss your opportunity. Because to us that participate in mediumship meetings, from time to time, we have ex-mediums coming to our meeting, asking for forgiveness, asking for another opportunity because they wasted the opportunity they had when they were incarnated. So I cannot stress enough to mediums to learn, to study, and to practice charity with your mediumship. Because I wouldn't be doing my job if I wouldn't say that. So now, also your hands up. Yeah, go on.
I think that Munir, thank you, good morning. I think that Munir said very well about necessity to study Evangelium, because without Evangelium and Spiritism, it's very difficult to understand all of our others books, because when we study Evangelho and do Evangelho home, not gospel, I saw Evangelho, but not gospel, I was going to say, home, be clear here, our mind to understand another books, spirits book, mediums book, and because this is the ground we take, yes, the philosophy, this Evangelho is, I think, one of the most important book in the spiritual yeah, in the spiritism, I think. But we shall be correct. If you ask me, would you like to start without study all this book and together? Can start and study some time. Spirits book, Evangelium, and a medium's book. Or we know, you know, Guilherme, everybody here know, at door is open, is open, and can came which spirits can came, and though we must were prepared to obsession also see some in. I think I would like, but it happens because we must take up our moral side is an Evangelium. Only this, not more.
Before I pass the call to Cleo, I would like to say something. Gospel, Jesus' teachings are the moral compass that we all should guide ourselves through. There's no question about it. But mediumship happens in any religion, even if you don't have one, if you believe or if you don't believe in God. Mediumship is something that you have regardless your belief, regardless what you do. The important thing, and that's what we are trying here, is to learn how to have a safe mediumship, how to have a mediumship with a moral compass. So that's what came to my mind. Hi, Cleo, go on.
Hi, I just want to share my experience because we are talking about mediumship. And from what I can see, on my case, was I have been to a spiritual group for more than 20 years. And I could feel the spirits around me, but I was looking for answer. And I just went to a spiritual group, and I asked one of the mentors, and his advice to me was that I shouldn't engage with any spirits. And at the time, I accept that as an answer, and I accept that was something I should do. And I never developed my mediumship because I accept that I shouldn't engage with anything that kind. And today, I realize that what I should have done was trying to learn and to understand what mediumship was. And by study, I would find the answer that I need. And instead of being afraid, we usually are afraid of something that we don't know. And I compare when I came to England that I didn't speak English. So I was very afraid because I didn't know what I was going to find here. And mediumship is the same thing. Sometimes we are afraid because we do not understand. And I think the best thing to understand, like you said, is to learn and to understand what is. And from the moment that you learn and you understand, you are not afraid anymore. And also improve yourself, like you already mentioned. I just want to share this thought with you.
Cleo, I like that very, very much, because that brought to my mind one thing that I always advocate through my, I don't have so many years like you in the spirit institution, I'm very young, but every time I was part of an institution, I always advocated the freedom that the Spiritism gave to us. Kardec, he never established rules to prevent anyone not to be a medium. Kardec never said in any of his work that we should go to a Spiritist university before we consider to be a medium. And unfortunately, many people understand his words in a different way and create different rules. If you go to 10 different Spiritist institutions, they're all different. They all have the different principles, the different laws, if you like. Now, in the recent past, I see more institutions open possibilities to young mediums, giving them opportunity to find the balance they need through study and through practice. But not all institutions are like that. Some institutions are like afraid about mediumship, despite that they are a Spiritist institution. I'm here far, very far, to try to convince you all that I'm right. I'm here to give you all the incentive to study by yourself and to challenge us, everything we say. I may misunderstood something that you will help me to understand better. I may be teaching you something that is against Kardec. And if you do highlight to me, Guilherme, I think you missed something here. What do you think about that? That's a study. And anyone in the Spiritist institution should be open to that kind of a study, not to create dogmas, not to create rules based in one understanding, someone understanding. Mediumship happens everywhere, anytime, any moment, any age. Some can wait, some cannot. Some has to work straight away. Some can be mentored a little bit longer, some cannot. Some mediums, they develop their mediumship quickly. Some take years. There is not a single rule. But my point in what I started here is, if someone tell you that to become a medium, you need to study 5 years of gospel, 5 years of the spirit book, 5 years of medium book, and then you have to go to the queue to wait someone to die from the mediumship meeting that they have in that institution, otherwise you wouldn't be accepted, think twice, because that's not written in Kardec. So I have two hands. Cleo again. Hi, Cleo. Go. And then we have Elodie. Elsodie. Cleo.
Sorry, I didn't put my hand up.
Oh, okay, sorry. My
Sorry.
fault.
Give me.
You. Go
Okay.
on.
Okay. You know, Guilherme, I love you because you are very, very good to explain, because I can't speak so good English, but I understood it well. But when I said that, you said that people no had so much contact in the spiritus doctrine. Is very, very important evangelium, and of course medium's book, because it's a medium book, is very, very clear. It's medium, so must study a medium's book, or it's very, very difficult to know which kind of spirit and the signal they use, they have, or freedom also, because we need to study in Genesis 2, but it's very, very important. You got Medium's book. I could not be a medium. I mean that, but man, I mean at Evangelium help us to guide us to the moral. Why moral is important? Because it's moral to do. We have in the time we are in a mediumship, a medium table, then show to the spiritus. So it's not so good spiritus. They take a distance, because they are afraid to. They wouldn't like to, but they go to them then do not good mediums. They forgot to take care this side of moral, so it's not so good. This medium maybe needs go to them to take a healing, for healing, to take a healing, then can start to work again. So it's my opinion, but it's not so, because I'm not so good this way. I am in the beginning. So okay, thank you.
Thank you a lot. And let me share with you guys. Well, we have 6 minutes to finish our study, so let me save the file for next week. Let me stop sharing my file so we can see everyone's face here. I would like to share with you guys